Originally you were going to go now, and suddenly because you need to catching up and like add to these different I'm trapped.
Well, yeah, I'll definitely get last year's
Can Riley is that so just you have a problem?
we actually have some.
Yeah, everybody has a different opinion, I would say.
Oh no, it's ginger. There we go, ginger accelerator. Okay, cool. Awesome.
You know, it's not quite, it's like one stepping stone. Alright.
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
One more time,
The reason moving in general and shoot is just because of the privacy issues with the recorded country. Last year, I did a lot of surgery that I wasn't able to however, she was optimistic and I can just might was by stripping off the personal information from the but that's to a step to the IT department, how much overhead they have to use for the records. Yeah.
And it's smaller. Minor problem.
Yeah.
Building that.
Right.
I know where the guy's extras go.
I'm not sure if I can get to the hospital instead of wasting my time. That was because
Oh wow. Wow.
love and post.
So basically, it's like, the customer side and the contractor side, however that needs to be handled. Basically, like, we have our contractors that so they have, their information filled out on there.
Alright guys, I don't want to take too much time because we're already off time just a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and get started again. I love your t-shirt, by the way. That's really awesome.
Okay. I'd recommend you wouldn't hire me.
So I just wanted to introduce you guys to Catherine. She's going to introduce herself, but Catherine is awesome and has been working with us for a couple of years now, actually. Lots and lots of experience doing focus groups and talking to customers in her career. So she's just going to give us kind of a quick debrief just now about 20-30 minutes about really her suggestions for how it is that that customer interviews go, and then we're going to do some mock interviews together. So hopefully you guys have written down your questions that you're currently asking in your interviews, because we're basically going to go from there and try to reformulate that and practice those and see and give you feedback on where it is that you can change that. So, but first, Catherine.
Thank you. I like being introduced as awesome. And feel free to write, be actively thinking about your business and writing questions down while I'm speaking, because I'm going to be talking about how to ask those questions, what to ask, and how to ask, and all of that's really important. And why am I qualified to be up here? What's my experience? I just thought it'd be helpful to know that I've spent about 23 years in packaged goods. I have a unique background in that I went for a culinary arts degree, got a food service management degree, and then got an MBA at Kellogg. So I have a very unique background, and it served me very well to hold positions in craft where I was able to work in R&D because I was a corporate chef. I had led an innovation project that led to a whole innovation department. And then I moved to the dark side, which is called R&D, to marketing research and marketing. I did base business, and I launched entire new product lines in new departments in the grocery store. So all of that within 12 years, and then I don't know if anybody's familiar with Sterling Rice Group, but I was a partner and the culinary director there for 8 years, so working with all the big major food companies in the world about their brand strategy, repositioning brands, launching new products, etc. So this is all I've done, is talk to people basically about why they're buying products, what's driving their behavior. So this is what I've spent a lot of time doing. So for you guys, for an entrepreneur and what you guys are now, you're in the exploratory phase. Your goal is to gather information, right? Later on, you can go back, you can do quantitative. Big companies obviously pay hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars for research. You guys are entrepreneurs, you need to be a little more clever about it. So what I thought we would talk about is finding your target. There's your primary and secondary, and it's really important to find your primary. A lot of companies have been started because people thought about their secondary market and there was enough interest in that secondary market, and that's not enough. You need to have your primary market, and there needs to be enough interest in your primary. Whether it's consumer or customer, we'll talk about that. And then it's really important how you ask the questions. And Emma, I don't want to throw Emma under the bus. Your classmate, Emma, provided me with her questions, and I asked her if she would mind if I showed you her draft and then how I've rewritten everything to actually use with consumers. So I'm not throwing her under the bus, but these were her draft questions, and I thought it'd be really helpful for you guys to see an actual example of what one of your students wanted to ask and what would be a better way to ask it. I'm not saying that's wrong and this is right, but a better way to get a more informative answer and a more helpful answer to make your business decisions. It's critical not to bias. And unfortunately, you doing your own research naturally inclines people to bias, right? So if I'm launching a new line of pens, unfortunately, if it's my baby, I'm going to be inclined to bias people to like this pen, right? To like what I'm launching. It's really hard to step back and be open-minded and not bias your questions and answers, so we'll talk about that. So we want to focus on your primary target, like I said, and think about their demographics and psychographics. So their demographics are who they are, and the psychographics are why they're purchasing. So for Caitlin's business, if the demographic might be the full-figured woman, the psychographic is that she's socially conscious. That matters to her. Now, we'll talk in a second about how you find these people, but it's really important to know those elements going in, because I've known a lot of people to start businesses who really didn't. It takes I'm not gonna lie, it takes a lot of time and energy to find your target, to get them to be on your schedule, to meet with you, to spend the time with you. But it's so important that you spend that time. Hundreds of thousands of dollars can be spent on businesses and then finding out that people really don't need your product. You want to think about, and I think you guys are doing a great job of this, your end consumer as well as your customer. So for a lot of the products that I worked on, it was food, and I had to worry about the woman, usually who was the typical purchaser in the grocery store, right? So that's what I focused on. But then when I was looking at selling products through the meat department, let's say, so I launched a whole line of refrigerated products for the meat department, I had to go learn how to talk to the butcher. Nobody at Kraft Foods and sales ever had to talk to the butcher before. So talking to Safeway and then talking to the butcher was a whole new adventure. So you guys talking to the customer, for example, is, who has the fleet of vehicles versus the end consumer for them. An example of both would be what you guys are doing with LaborJack, is looking at the end consumer and your LaborJacks, right? And I mean, that's a great example where your LaborJacks are a wealth of information. They are the ones directly interacting with your guests more than you guys are. So getting them to really be thinking about your business and providing that feedback to you is an awesome way to really learn more about your business. And talking to people who've used your competitor, like your classmate here, is another great way. So even beyond your consumer, your customer, I think people who use your competitors, if you can find those people, easily have access to them, that's a great place too. Do you have questions?
Would mine, I guess I was a little bit still confused, or would mine be both, or would it just be completely one?
Well, that's a great question. So is your business going to be online, or are you going to sell to retailers?
I would like to do both.
Okay. So where would you start? Do you know where you would start?
I want to start with direct sales, and then create vendor relations with boutiques, and then go from there.
Right. So I would probably start with focusing on online. If it's, are you talking direct sales like Tupperware parties or
just
online?
like an online direct sales.
Okay, so if it's online, then I would be looking for people who shop online for clothing, obviously, and focus later on the bricks and mortar customer environment. It's changing rapidly. Malls are falling apart. Malls are shutting down. I wouldn't spend too much of your time and energy there, but I think, and we can talk more as we get further in this about how to find those online shoppers and that actually fit the profile that you want to talk to. So big companies like Kraft use a market research firm. You guys need to be a bit more resourceful, and it sounds like you guys are already on the path to do this. One of the things that you should really think about is where is your target, and optimally talking to them in the right frame of mind. So whether it's physically or mentally. So if I walked up to you right now and said, what brand of foundation do you use? Jess is like, I have no freaking idea. Like, you haven't even gotten me in the frame of mind of thinking about makeup, right? So taking them from a broad subject area down to where you want to go is really critical. And finding a place to talk to them that puts them in the right frame of mind. So a great example, I did a lot of research in grocery stores I would stand in the aisle, pretend like I'm shopping, like anybody else, and then I would just start asking them questions like, hey, did you buy that before? Why did you buy that? And really just being curious and asking them questions. I think for you guys, it's about, is there a way to be in Sherwin-Williams or Home Depot or in these places? And the reason I say that is that a lot of people want to ask friends and family, and unfortunately your friends and family are often biased, right? They want to tell you that your idea is good, they want to make you feel good. Some are great and they'll be really honest and critical of your idea, but if you can talk to strangers and get a few minutes with their time and get them in the situation where you're trying to learn about where are the needs, so why are you buying Maybelline mascara, if you're standing in the aisle, to understand what's driving their behavior in the moment. And you guys have such varied businesses that it's really kind of hard to think through all of those, but if you want to talk with me about it or ask me right now, like what that means for you. And then online, I guess, you can go through social media to find friends and family that meet your criteria, but again, when you start to go invest a lot of money in your business, you really don't want to rely just on friends and family who said you have a great idea. I've seen it, it's ugly, it's a lot. You really don't want to go down that path. But you can use friends and family to find those people. Go through SurveyMonkey. We used Google Online. We're starting a company that's locking stylish odorless bags for women who carry cannabis. So we had a lot of challenges because we can't just go on Google and sort for people who use cannabis. It's not one of the accessible databases, at least right now. But you can go in there and divide by some of the interests that you guys have. Now, I don't know, how do I pronounce the name of her company? Begay Coco? Begay Coco? Okay, so for example,
Whatever you say is fine, she's not here.
okay. So, how do you classify your target? So the first thing you want to do in making sure you have the right target, she has 3 targets. Now I would debate, who's your primary? That would be my first question, and focus on them. Again, you have limited time, energy, and money. But these are the 3 that she's looking at. So the first is the expat tourist. The second is younger women that are lower middle class, and older women who are middle upper class. So the first question is easy, right? So do you live locally here or are you visiting? Right, that's how I can get to that first question, right? Second question, the younger women versus older women. I would not suggest asking a woman her age, ever. You give them ranges, right? Which age range are you in? 20 to 30, 30 to 40? Most women really don't care. I'm in 40 to 50, I don't care. I would also say I'm 46 because I don't really care, but a lot of women are very sensitive about that. So instead of asking, what is your age? You would say, here's a list of age ranges, where are you? And then you're not going to ask, are you lower, middle, or upper class? I mean, clearly that's not going to work, right? So things that we would do would be ask people, do you shop at Saks Fifth Avenue? Do you shop at Target? Do you shop at Whole Foods? Do you shop at Sprouts? I mean, and again, this is a female example, right? Because they're grocery shopping, they're clothing shopping, but that's a way to get at that class question. So what I'm encouraging you to do is be a little clever at getting to your target without necessarily, there's a lot of questions you can't just outright ask. Does that bring up any questions for anybody?
One of the big concerns, and this is in my industry a lot, is how do I get them to honestly tell me if they're environmentally, because I've phrased it several different ways, and it's one of those things where it's like, we've had research that says, oh, of course I recycle, I love the environment, but then when you count the recycling, it's actually half that or whatnot.
Exactly. I think there's great questions at a broader level. You could ask them, and you'll see this in the Emma example, just from the broader question, what drives you to make your what are the most important factors when you're choosing what clothes to buy, okay? And then see if they say price, brand, those are probably the most common answers you're gonna get. You could also give them a list of 10 things. My friends recommended it, so you'll see what I talk about in a second, but you can give these options lists that really help your respondents, especially if they can't think off the top of their head. And then you can provide that as just one of many options. You can also have them rank it. So if socially conscious is number 10 on a list of things that they care about, they've already answered your question for you, right? So they do care about what's socially conscious, but it's number 10 on the value chain of what is driving their purchase decision. I think there's also